Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are exploring a film that is as much about emotions as it is about mystery and the supernatural. The Bhoot Bangla, Emotional of Family is not just a spooky house story. It's a layered narrative that combines elements of heritage, generational ties, and the way memories linger like ghosts of their own. The moment you hear the title, you might expect only dark corridors and flickering candles, but what you actually get is a deeply human story that uses its eerie setting as a mirror to the characters' emotional states. The first impression comes from the outside, where the house immediately dominates your attention. Its weathered walls seem to have been standing for centuries, resisting wind, rain, and time itself. Faded paint peels away like skin, revealing the bones beneath. The building carries Gothic influences in its arches and pointed windows, but there are also unmistakable touches of traditional Indian craftsmanship, carved wooden doors, lattice balconies, and clay tiles on the roof. The garden, or what's left of it, is overrun with wild vines, their twisted shapes seeming almost alive. Even the path leading up to the main gate has a story, with cracked stones worn smooth in the center from the countless feet that once crossed them. This house doesn't just look haunted, it looks like it remembers every voice, every laugh, and every cry that has passed through its doors. Stepping inside, the atmosphere shifts immediately. The space is dimly lit, not because there is no light, but because the house itself seems to prefer shadows. The floors creak under every step, not enough to scare you, but enough to remind you that you are walking somewhere old. The furniture is heavy and ornate, built from dark woods polished by time and use. Each item feels chosen, not just bought, family heirlooms passed from one generation to the next. The air carries a faint smell of incense and aged paper, a mixture that hints at both devotion and history. The walls are lined with family portraits, their faces half familiar and half forgotten, eyes following you in ways you can't quite explain. The performances in the Bhoot Bangla, Emotional of Family, are what transform this from a visual experience into an emotional one. The actors embody their roles so naturally that you forget they are acting. The family members are portrayed with a complexity that makes them relatable, whether they are laughing over a shared memory or confronting a painful truth. The patriarch of the family carries an unspoken weight, his every word measured and deliberate, as though he knows more than he ever reveals. The matriarch radiates warmth but hides her own fears behind it, creating moments of tenderness that hit harder than any jump scare. The younger generation, siblings and cousins, show the mix of curiosity, skepticism, and protectiveness that comes when youth meets old traditions. Even the smallest characters have moments that leave an impact, from a quiet glance to a trembling hand during a tense conversation. Beyond the human performances, the story incorporates safety in subtle but meaningful ways. It demonstrates that survival in the face of fear often comes down to staying together and trusting each other. The house is dangerous not because of obvious traps, but because of what it represents: secrets, regrets, and memories that can be as threatening as any physical hazard. Yet within its walls there are safe spaces, rooms that have been blessed, doorways protected by symbols, places where family members gather to shield one another from both physical and emotional harm. These touches not only fit the supernatural theme but also serve as metaphors for the protective power of love and unity. What makes this film stand out is the way it blends horror and heart without sacrificing either. The story isn't afraid to slow down and show quiet moments of connection. A cup of tea shared in silence can be as telling as a ghostly whisper in the dark. When the supernatural elements appear, they don't feel random, they are tied to the emotional weight of the family's history. Every strange noise, every shadowy figure has a reason for being there. The cinematography captures this balance beautifully, moving from warm, golden light during moments of togetherness to cool, blue tones in scenes of isolation and fear. The camera lingers just long enough on the smallest details: a flickering diya, a door slightly ajar, a tear rolling down a cheek, so that each shot feels like part of the storytelling. The soundtrack deserves its own praise. Traditional instruments are woven into the score, grounding the story in its cultural roots, while eerie harmonies and subtle percussive beats build tension without overwhelming the scenes. It's the kind of music that lingers in your mind even after the film ends, echoing the emotional tone rather than just the fear. This careful attention to sound design makes certain moments unforgettable, like when silence suddenly falls, making you aware of your own heartbeat. In terms of value, the Bhoot Bangla, Emotional of Family, delivers far more than you might expect. It's available on common streaming platforms at a standard subscription, meaning you don't need to pay anything extra beyond what you already might have. Considering the richness of the experience, the combination of strong acting, atmospheric setting, and cultural depth, it's an excellent choice for anyone who appreciates a story that rewards attention. This is not a film to watch while distracted, it's one that asks you to be present, to notice the layers, and to feel alongside the characters. The heart of the film lies in its emotional message. Ghosts here are not just supernatural beings, they are the past, the unresolved emotions, and the ties that refuse to let go. The family's journey is not only about surviving a haunting, but also about facing their shared history, both the beautiful and the painful parts. It speaks to the universal truth that we all carry parts of our family with us, whether in traditions, in habits, or in the stories we tell ourselves. The resolution is satisfying because it does not erase the pain, but it shows how love and acceptance can coexist with it. The Bhoot Bangla, Emotional of Family is an experience that stays with you. It engages your senses with its visuals and sounds, it challenges your heart with its emotional honesty, and it unsettles your mind with its subtle, lingering moments of fear. It is the rare kind of film that you could revisit multiple times and still notice something new, a detail in the background, a line of dialogue that takes on new meaning, a look between characters that reveals a hidden layer. Watching it is like walking through the house itself. Each time, you take a different path, and each time, you discover another secret. When the credits roll, you're left with more than just the memory of a story well told. You're left with a feeling, a blend of warmth and chill, the way you might feel after hearing an old family tale around a fire. It's the kind of feeling that makes you appreciate both the living and the memories of those who came before. That's the real magic of the Bhoot Bangla, Emotional of Family. It reminds us that the past is never really gone, that family ties can bridge even the most haunting of divides, and that courage often comes from the people standing beside us. The craftsmanship behind this work is evident in every frame, every line, and every pause. It's a piece of art that respects its audience enough to let them think, feel, and interpret, rather than forcing answers onto them. It offers fear without hopelessness, and it offers love without pretending life is without pain. That duality is rare, and it's what makes it worth recommending. Whether you are a fan of horror, a lover of emotional dramas, or someone looking for a story that reflects cultural richness, this is a film that deserves your attention. Thank you for joining me for this review. If you haven't seen the Bhoot Bangla, Emotional of Family yet, it's worth making the time for it. Watch it not just for the scares, but for the moments in between, the glances, the silences, the unspoken truths. Because in the end, it's those moments that will stay with you long after the story is over. And that is what makes it truly unforgettable.